Hello, hi everyone. A very good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing well. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another brilliant masterclass that we have lined up for you under the Grow Academy channel. I'm Namrata. We're just going to wait for maybe a minute or two for more people to join in, and then we're going to start the session. So, for the rest of you who are already on the call, can you please confirm if I'm audible? Hi, Advin. Hello, Jay. Hi, Royal Khan. Hello, Radhesham. Hi, Shrey. Can someone just confirm if I'm audible? Hello, Anant Kumar. Hello, Sitapati. Hi, Rajesh. Good afternoon. Okay, good. So I'm guessing I'm audible to all of you. Yes. Thank you, Omkar. Thank you so much. Okay, hi, Yogendra. Hello. Yes, I'm good. Thank you so much. Okay. Great. So we're just gonna wait for a minute or so, guys. We're just waiting for some more people to join, and then we're going to start this masterclass. But thank you so much for joining in today. I hope all of you had a great week and are having a good weekend. Yes. So, any specific expectation from this masterclass? Anything specific that you want to learn? I'm sure all of you know what the topic is, right? So, is there anything specific that you want to learn? You can let me know, and I'll try to see if we can cover that in this particular class. Yes, anything specific? Okay, also, next question for all of you is how many of you are attending my masterclass for the first time? So just give me a yes or a no and tell me how many of you are attending my masterclass for the first time. Hi, Lalu, good afternoon. Okay. Hello, hi, Triggerlog. It was okay. Mr. Sitapati, I got your comment. Yes. So, yes, so how many of you are attending my masterclass for the first time? Okay, so Jason says he's attending for the first time. Okay, Lalu's attending for the first time. Okay, hi Ashwin. Hello Vishwajit. Tanmay. Okay, first time. So many of you. Thank you so much for those of you who are attending, who attended multiple master classes in the past. Okay, great. So I think we can start. So for all of you who are attending my masterclass for the first time, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Namrata Arora, and I have been doing this masterclass concept with Grow for about a year now. So what we do is we've been, we pick up a particular topic every week, and we try to deep dive into that particular topic. Okay. We've done multiple master classes, which are there on the Grow channel, and now we've started this concept on the Grow Academy channel. Grow Academy channel is a new channel which is brilliant, which is purely from an education point of view. We try to reach out to people, we try to explain the concept, and we try to do these classes in different languages. So I did a master class in Hindi last week, but today I'm going to do this in English. Okay, and so I would request all of you, if you have any questions, feel free to mention it in the comments, and I will take your Q&A at the end of the session. So the last 10 minutes or so would be for Q&A. Okay, so I do hope you guys have a great time listening to me. And of course, like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to mention. And of course, please do subscribe to the Grow Academy channel. Trust me, guys, we're going to put so much brilliant content on the Grow Academy channel in the coming few months that you're going to learn so much, right? So please do subscribe to the channel, and you're going to get a lot of information from there. Okay. So let me quickly start off. So today, what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about the cash flow statements, and we're going to talk about the annual report. So for those of you who attended my masterclass last week, know that we discussed about the financial statement. So we discussed about income and expense statement, and we spoke about the balance sheet, right? Today we're going to cover the third financial statement, which is the cash flow statement, and we're going to talk in detail about the annual report, right? Annual report is such a brilliant piece of information which a lot of investors tend to neglect. So today I'm going to tell you and explain to you in very simple terms how is it that you can read the annual report and how you can benefit out of it and take your investment decisions based on the annual report. Okay, so I'm just going to first quickly share my presentation. You guys will just have to give me a moment. Okay, and let's see. Are all of you able to see my screen? Yes. Okay, perfect. Yes. So, like I said, this is the topic of our conversation today. Okay. So, legendary Warren Buffett, I'm sure all of us know who Warren Buffett is, and we tend to, all of us want to copy his investment style to some extent. He is about annual reports. He has said few things. So, he has said things like, We've never bought anything that's been pitched to us by an investment banker or a broker. We read hundreds and hundreds of annual reports every year. And then he also says that when I take a look at a company's annual report, if I don't understand it, they don't want me to understand it. Right? I mean, it's such a powerful statement that, if an annual report is confusing and you're not able to understand the annual report, it basically means that the company doesn't want you to understand this. And that means they're trying to confuse you. Right? So an annual report, as it should be as simple as possible, a piece of document which should be as simple as possible for you to be able to understand this. So Lalu, this particular session, my friend, is going to be in English. I will try to probably put a little bit of Hindi in between. लेकिन हम जब भी ये सेशंस करते हैं हम ट्राई करते हैं कि या तो हिंदी में करें या तो इंग्लिश में करें बिकॉज आवर ऑडियंस टाइप ऑडियंस इज डिफरेंट बट आई विल ट्राई टू डू दिस सेशन इन बोथ द लैंग्वेजेस ठीक है जिससे कि हिंदी ऑडियंस भी और इंग्लिश ऑडियंस भी समझ पाए या ओके So मुझे लगता है कि when it comes to the annual report, there's truly no better piece of information about a company other than the annual reports. क्योंकि ऐसा लगता है we tend to believe that annual report is like a collection of pages, right? Multiple 300, 400, 300, 400 pages full of information, and a lot of us find this whole task very tedious and difficult, right? I mean, we tend to believe that who will read 300 odd pages in an annual report? And I agree with you, it's not an easy task, right? It's very time consuming, but it is the most valuable piece of information about a company. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of investors don't look at the annual report when they are making their investment decision. But if you can effectively read the annual report, trust me, you'll get so much insights about a company which will really help you in taking the decision in terms of your investments. So one thing that we should keep in mind about an annual report is that it is also used as a marketing tool. Yes. It is a very powerful marketing tool, which obviously helps in attracting investors, shareholders, and a whole lot of other people. So, which is why the company will always try to present itself in the best light possible, right? Obviously, when you're looking at the annual report, it will have all the, it will try to show the company in the most positive light. So, which is why when you're reading the annual report, always read with little bit of skepticism. You should be a little skeptical while you're reading the annual report itself, because think of it also as a marketing document. Okay. So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn about the different aspects that you should look at. देखिए, annual report में बहुत कुछ होता है, right? I mean, it's a 350 odd page document. और उसमें इतना कुछ रहता है कि I don't think हम में से सब लोग उसको manage कर सकते हैं. Yes? So it's not easy to read 300 odd pages. So what I have done is I've just picked out those important points that you should look at in an annual report. तो annual report में वो जो बहुत important सी चीजें हैं जो आपको देखनी चाहिए वो मैंने आपकी स्क्रीन पे मैं आपको दिखाऊंगी और आज के हम उस पूरे सेशन में वही इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. आपको पूरे 300 पेज पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. यू डोंट नीड टू रीड 300 pages of an annual report. Okay. Now I'm getting a lot of demands in terms of all the other languages. I only know Hindi and English, so I'm only going to cover this particular session in Hindi and English. I'll not be able to talk in any other language, even if I knew, क्योंकि जो audience है हमारे all over India आते हैं, so I cannot stick to any one regional language. Okay. Satyam, I hope that helps. Okay. So what exactly is an annual report? It's a comprehensive report about a company's activities that happened in the previous year. तो पिछले साल जो भी company ने किया है, it talks about those activities of that particular company. So it basically gives shareholders, investors, donors, stakeholders, जो सब रहते हैं उनको it gives important information about a particular company, those important aspects that should be kept in mind. And so things like, so what are the things which an annual report talks about? Talks about the long-term vision of a company, talks about what are the opportunities, what are the threats which are faced by a company, industry performance, historical performance, financial statements, what are the awards which the company won, it talks about corporate governance, it talks about CSR. So there's a host of things that are covered in the annual report. Okay. And like what you see on the screen are those top important things that you should be looking at. Now, one thing that you should know is annual report saal mein ek baar aati hai. That's why it's called an annual report, logically, obviously, right? And it is available for a particular financial year. So whatever information that you see in an annual report, that will be as of 31st of March of that particular year that you're looking at. Okay. तो वो 31 मार्च तक का डेटा रहता है एनुअल रिपोर्ट में. ये आपको कंपनी की वेबसाइट पे मिल जाएगा. बहुत सारी पब्लिक डोमेन वेबसाइट्स हैं जहाँ पे पेड या अनपेड वर्जन्स ऑफ एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स रहते हैं. You can also ask for a hard copy of the annual report from the company directly. So they'll send you the hard copy if you're one of the investors. Okay. Like I said, is annual report, you also have audited certificates. So it is an audited report. There has to be a third party that audits all the information. Okay. And that is why ये जो इसमें ऑडिटेड सर्टिफिकेट्स भी रहते हैं जो सील होते हैं, यू नो, दिस कंप्लीट सैंक्टिटी इन दैट व्हेन यू लुकिंग एट द ऑडिटेड रिपोर्ट. ओके. So like I said, if these are the things that we're going to look at, अभी you know last week जब हमने बैलेंस शीट और इनकम एंड एक्सपेंस स्टेटमेंट देखा था, हमने जो है साइन टेक्नोलॉजीज का एग्जांपल लिया था. सो आई एम गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू विद द सेम एग्जांपल. आज जो है मैं साइन टेक्नोलॉजीज का ही एग्जांपल लूंगी बिकॉज वी आर गोइंग टू लुक एट से द कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट. तो अगर हमने लास्ट वीक इनकम एंड एक्सपेंस स्टेटमेंट देखा है और हमने बैलेंस शीट देखी है, तो आज हम कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट भी उसी कंपनी का ही देखेंगे और एनुअल रिपोर्ट भी हम साइन का ही देखने वाले हैं. Okay, so we are going to look at Sign Technologies ka annual report and the cash flow statement. So before I really move on to the presentation and show you other aspects, let me show you the annual report of Sign, right? And I'll just quickly show you how you can read it. So all of you can see this. तो मैंने आपके लिए खोल के रखी हुई है एनुअल रिपोर्ट बिकॉज आई वांट ऑल ऑफ यू टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. अब इसमें ये जो है 334 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट है. इट्स 334 पेजेस ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट, राइट, which obviously all of us cannot read. So I'm just going to show you those important things that you should look at. लेकिन हर कंपनी के एनुअल रिपोर्ट में sections could be structured differently, right? So what you can do is you can just go to the index section which is here. इसमें आपको सारा content मिल जाएगा. So everything that I had mentioned on the presentation is there here. So आप उसी के हिसाब से पेज नंबर पे जा सकते हैं. So for example, if we just show you here, right? Let's start off with here. So Ascent is a 30-year-old organization. Yeah. So उन्होंने basic milestones यहाँ पे डाले हुए हैं. Then if you look at, so here are the basic milestones that they have achieved in the last 1 year. Okay. Then if you just quickly scroll down, you will see the key performance highlights here, right? I'm going to talk in detail about each of them, but I'm just showing you the annual report. So initially they're putting all the important numbers which you should understand. So as you can see, these are the important numbers. We'll talk about it in detail. Here they're talking about the global footprint. He signed as a company is present in which all countries. So कहाँ पे वो exist करता है, उसका information है, right? So global footprint. These are the awards and the accolades that Cyient has won in the last 1 year. Right? Then when we move on, you will see the chairman's message as well. So he is the chairman and this is the message from the chairman. अब इसको कैसे analyze करना है chairman message, I'm going to tell you. Okay? But this is the chairman's message, for example. Okay? Then when we move down, you'll see corporate information. So everything about the company, उनका register office का, उनके bankers कौन है, auditors कौन है, company secretary कौन है, all of that. And how to look at this is also what we're going to discuss. ये उनका CSR initiative के बारे में वो लोग बोल रहे हैं, ठीक है? And then if so this is the CSR initiative that we're talking about. Then you look at the director's report, right? The director's report, अगर मैं इस पेज पे जाऊँ, तो here you'll see the director's report. ये सारे sections हम डिटेल में डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, but I'm just showing you in the annual report where it comes and how it looks. Okay? फिर अगर हम MD&A देखें, जो एक बहुत important section होता है annual report का, management discussion and analysis, ये मुझे लगता है by far the most important part of the annual report is management discussion and analysis. ठीक है? तो ये ऐसे दिखता है. इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. Important क्या-क्या चीजें हैं we'll discuss. But of course, it is an important piece of information. Then here you can look at report on corporate governance, right? So जैसे corporate governance के बारे में भी हम बात करते हैं, right? We're going to talk about it. So this is corporate governance. फिर shareholding जो हम देखने वाले हैं. So for example, shareholding is here. This is going to tell you exact shareholding of the company. किसके पास कितना shares है. And then you have the key financial statements. Yes, जैसे आज हम we're going to discuss the cash flow statement. तो हमने जो है already इनका balance sheet discuss किया था last week और इनका हमने profit and loss या income and expense statement ये भी discuss किया था last week. So these two statements are already done. आज हम जो discuss करने वाले हैं वो है cash flow statement which is here. Okay, this is going to be our second part of the session which is the cash flow statement. So this is how your annual report looks like. Okay. So now let me go back to sharing the presentation with all of you. And then we're going to get started with, starting with learnings about the annual report in general. So we'll start with the vision and mission statement. Okay. अब मुझे लगता है कि बहुत से लोग सोचते हैं कि विजन एंड मिशन स्टेटमेंट कितना इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. Yes. देखिए अगर आपको कोई वीडियो क्वालिटी में प्रॉब्लम है तो आई थिंक यू हैव टू इंक्रीज योर एचडी सेटिंग्स इन यूट्यूब. ठीक है, आप खुद का एचडी सेटिंग्स चेंज करिए. you'll be able to get better quality video. Okay. तो अब ना बहुत सारे लोग सोचते हैं विजन एंड मिशन स्टेटमेंट इज इट रियली इंपॉर्टेंट. वेल ट्रस्ट मी, विजन एंड मिशन स्टेटमेंट अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको उसके व्हाट यू विल रियली लर्न इज कि एक कंपनी अपने बिजनेस को हाउ इट लुक्स एट इट फ्रॉम अ बिगर पर्सपेक्टिव. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक विजन स्टेटमेंट आपको क्या बताता है? विजन स्टेटमेंट बेसिकली टेल्स यू वेयर द मैनेजमेंट सीज द बिजनेस ऑन अ ग्लोबल प्लेथोरा. कि मतलब अगर एट अ ग्लोबल लेवल एक जो कंपनी है वो अपने बिजनेस को कैसे देखती है. ओके. और जो मिशन स्टेटमेंट होता है दैट इज बेसिकली रिफ्लेक्टेड इन कंपनीज एक्शंस. तो जो भी कंपनी whatever the company is doing in terms of actionables, that is decided by the mission statement. So mission statement, think of it more like execution, vision statement more like strategy. ओके. मिशन स्टेटमेंट थोड़ा टैक्टिकल होता है, विजन स्टेटमेंट थोड़ा स्ट्रेटेजिक होता है, बहुत हाई लेवल होता है. तो अगर हम साइंट की बात करें फॉर एग्जांपल, you will see that the vision statement is provide the best technology, services and solutions to industry and government worldwide, right? That is how they see their business globally. And mission statement is designed tomorrow together. And साइंट के जितने भी इनिशिएटिव्स हैं, जितने भी प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, एवरीथिंग रिवॉल्व्स अराउंड दिस पर्टिकुलर मिशन स्टेटमेंट. तो मिशन स्टेटमेंट हेल्प्स यू अंडरस्टैंड the execution strategy, and all the actionables are they are around the mission statement. Vision statement tells you what the company wants to achieve at a global level. Okay. Next, moving on, if we move on from the vision and mission statement to key financial highlights. अभी जब मैंने आपको जो annual report दिखाई थी उसमें I showed you the first few pages. The first few pages give you the basic highlights of the business, right? So if you look at the first pie chart that you see on the screen, that basically tells you segmentation, geography wise, unka revenue kahan se aa raha hai. So for example, if we look at this particular chart, Cyient ka 49% revenue is coming from North America. Okay. Then about 26% is coming from EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East and Africa. And 25% comes from APAC, which is Asia Pacific, right? So which means if you just look at this one pie chart, what does it tell you? That just that one pie chart is telling you that this is a very global company, right? ये company बहुत जगह exist करती है, इनका global presence बहुत अच्छा है, revenue काफी अच्छे से distributed है across geographies. अब अगर हम dividend payout की बात करें जो आपको दिख रहा है, which is 51.4%, last year Cyient ने जो है सबसे ज्यादा dividend payout किया था, which is $17 per share. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to tell you about this annual report that I'm showing you is कि इनकी जो इस साल की annual report है 21-22, वो audited report अभी available नहीं है. तो हमने annual report जो ली है वो previous year के लिए 2020-2021. लेकिन जो सारे numbers हैं, जो financial statements हैं, वो हम इस साल के numbers ले रहे हैं क्योंकि Q4 तक के audited numbers are available. So numbers we're going to look at from the previous financial year itself. लेकिन जो हम उनका स्ट्रैटेजी वो सब देख रहे हैं दैट्स द ईयर बिफोर दैट. ओके. तो जो हम डिविडेंड पे आउट देख रहे हैं दैट्स द हाईएस्ट डिविडेंड दैट दे पेड, राइट, व्हिच इज $17 per share. I think this is such a good number to look at, right? Because as an investor, if you're looking at high dividend yielding companies, this is one thing that you should be looking at. Then you look at say normalized PAT. PAT is profit after tax. So which means in this year they degrew by 0.3% and their PAT was 50.1. उनका जो सर्विसेज से रेवेन्यू, तो साइंट के बेसिकली एक सर्विसेज सेगमेंट है और एक डीएलएम सेक्शन है व्हिच इज डिजाइन लेड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, राइट? तो इन द सर्विसेज रेवेन्यू दे हैव गॉट अबाउट 461 odd million rupees, which is a degrowth of 16%. मतलब वो उनका रेवेन्यू कम हुआ है by 16%. Then normalized EBIT, what is EBIT? Earnings before interest and tax, राइट? तो अगर हम ये देखें तो इनका जो EBIT है वो भी it's about 56.3 million rupees. Yes. And जो DLM revenue, मैंने उनको आपको बोलता है कि इनका services segment है, DLM segment है, right? So services revenue is about 461 million rupees and DLM revenue is 95.6 million rupees. So before you actually move on to the financial statements, you can just quickly look at these numbers to get a basic idea about the company in terms of numbers. ये आपको this, it just gives you a basic idea. Has the company done well? Has it not done well? Has it grown? Has it not grown? And so on. Okay. What we also have to know is the COVID year was pretty bad for most of the companies, including Cyient. So it degrew in the COVID year 2020, 2021. And that is why you will see a lot of numbers which are relatively lower. Okay. एंड ऑल्सो अगर हम साइंट की बात करें, उन्होंने पिछले साल 2 बिजनेस लाइंस भी ऐड करी थी, एंड इट्स क्लियरली देयर इन द एनुअल रिपोर्ट इज वेल इन द फर्स्ट फ्यू पेजेस इटसेल्फ. एक उन्होंने इंटेली साइंट करके एक डिजिटल सोल्यूशन प्लेटफॉर्म क्रिएट किया है, एंड देन दे आल्सो एक्वायर्ड आईजीपी व्हिच इज इंटीग्रेटेड ग्लोबल पार्टनर्स. ये एक स्पेशलिस्ट ऑस्ट्रेलियन कंसल्टिंग फर्म है, and basically they're just trying to expand their offerings, and that's what they did. Okay. Now, if you look at the awards, right, I'm sure you guys remember we just saw the awards as well. So, Cyient won these 3 big awards last year. So, one was a Thales Performance Award, one was Silver Boeing Performance Excellence Award. So, the Thales Performance Award, that's basically for on-time and on-time delivery performance. And the Silver Boeing Performance Award was for recognizing Cyient's dedication and consistent commitment to delivering value. That was the main reason why they got that award. And the last award, which is Zinnov Zone's leadership position in ER&D services. They got this award as an established and expansive player in the field of work. Okay. So what are these basic things telling you? What are these small things telling you? These small things are telling you कि जब हम एक annual report देखते हैं, right? What we have to look at is these basic parameters which do help us in identifying कि company अच्छी है या नहीं है, right? Now, a lot of you are asking me about your opinion about certain stocks. Guys, I have to tell you guys that we do not recommend stocks or do not give any specific recommendation. अगर मैं आज एक कंपनी का एग्जांपल भी ले रही हूँ, उसका आप प्लीज नहीं recommendation मत समझिए. आई एम रियली जस्ट टेकिंग दिस एज एन एग्जांपल टू शो यू हाउ टू रीड एन एनुअल रिपोर्ट, राइट? तो आप प्लीज मुझे अगर क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे कि ये स्टॉक कैसा है, ये कैसा है, आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू आंसर दैट फॉर यू. सो प्लीज डोंट आस्क मी सच क्वेश्चंस. प्लीज लिमिट योर क्वेश्चंस टू कॉन्सेप्ट्स. तो जो भी हम कॉन्सेप्ट सीख रहे हैं, अगर उसमें आपको कोई सवाल है तो प्लीज आस्क मी क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू दैट. ओके. सो मूविंग ऑन, लेट्स लुक एट द चेयरमैन्स मैसेज. ओके. बेसिकली जो चेयरमैन का मैसेज होता है, that gives us a perspective of how the person sitting right at the top is looking at his business, right? तो जो इंसान business का सबसे ऊपर, सबसे head, बड़ा, he's the head of the business. How is he looking at the business? So what's his perspective? But then again, जब मैं chairman's message पढ़ती हूँ, for example, I always I'm a little skeptical क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि chairman का message भी they all know it's a marketing document, right? So chairman is obviously going to put everything in the positive light. लेकिन अगर आप चेयरमैन मैसेज में आप ये देख सकते हैं कि चेयरमैन ट्रांसपेरेंट है. The chairman is giving realistic message about the business. He or she is owning up to the mistakes that the business has made. Then it is something that you can trust. Okay. The chairman message अगर हम देखें, so for example shareholder value के section में chairman's message said we have been growing revenues year after year. So before that, just a minute, and we have been profitable quarter after quarter. And if you look at the institution built to last wala section, उसमें है कि my dream was to create an institution, not just a profit-making enterprise, and I consciously put effort into building an organization that outlasts me, right? So I think this is a very powerful message by the chairman, because come to look at it, ये जो company है, it is trying its best to not just to work in one or two people's favor, right? They're not working just to make money for the promoters. They are working to make money for everyone in the value chain. So, for example, the chairman is Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy. He was the chairman for 30 years, and it's almost a 30-year-old company. और अगर हम देखें तो Cyient अगर 30 साल कंप्लीट कर चुकी है, that's a big achievement in itself. क्योंकि अगर आप S&P 500 इंडेक्स देखेंगे तो उसमें जो एवरेज लाइफ स्पैन होता है कंपनीज का, वो 1920s में 67 years होता था, लेकिन अब के टाइम में वो करीब 15 साल है. That's the average lifespan of companies. And here we have Cyient, which has completed 30 years, and it is still flourishing, it is still doing well, it is still creating value for its shareholders. तो इसीलिए जो है ये चेयरमैन का मैसेज एक पावरफुल मैसेज अगर है तो उससे आपको बहुत कुछ समझ में आ सकता है. तो फॉर एग्जांपल अभी जो उनके नए चेयरमैन हैं, which is कृष्णा बोडनापू, he is the one who's going to lead this organization going forward. और अगर आप मैसेज देखें, let me just show you another thing, right? Look at this. Now, whether funds came through an IPO or private equity, I always saw new capital as increased responsibility. Right now, that is nice, right? Because which means chairman is saying कि वो एक responsibility के जैसे देखते हैं अगर उनको जब पैसा business में आता है, that's a responsibility towards the shareholders, towards the people who are giving them the money. Yes. And अगर हम उनके सिर्फ revenues के बारे में देखें, an investment of INR 100 in Science stock in 1997 IPO is worth 35,600 as of May 4, 2021, which means last year तक उसका 100 रुपए का value हो गया था 35,600 rupees, right? So, which means they have created almost 355% absolute returns for their investors in the last 30 odd years, and that's a pretty good return that you're looking at. Yes. तो जब भी आप एनुअल रिपोर्ट देखते हैं चेयरमैन्स मैसेज पढ़िए. आई एम नॉट सेइंग बहुत डिटेल में पढ़िए, लेकिन जस्ट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या चेयरमैन रियलिस्टिक है, ट्रांसपेरेंट है, आर दे ओनिंग अप टू द मिस्टेक्स दैट दे हैव मेड. इफ यू थिंक दे आर, then you could be quite comfortable from the chairman message point of view. अब अगर हम कॉर्पोरेट इन्फॉर्मेशन देखें, राइट, अब आई एम श्योर बहुत से लोगों को लगता है कॉर्पोरेट इन्फॉर्मेशन कितना इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. देखिए, कॉर्पोरेट इन्फॉर्मेशन बेसिकली टेल्स यू कि कंपनी के ऑडिटर्स कौन है, टैक्स एडवाइजर्स कौन है, कंपनी सेक्रेटरीज कौन है, एंड सो ऑन. ओके, नाउ दीज आर द की पीपल हु आर ऑडिटिंग द कंपनी. यस, and that is why उनकी credibility जानना बहुत जरूरी होता है. It's important that we understand the credibility of all these institutions who are attached with the company that we want to invest in. Are they credible enough? तो अगर हम Cyient की बात करें, there's one red flag. Okay, and what is the red flag? The red flag is कि उनकी one of the auditors हैं, which is SR Bartley Boy and Associates LLP. This firm was banned by RBI in 2019. To perform audits because उनके audits में काफी lapses थे, but ये उन्होंने सिर्फ banks के लिए audit करने के लिए मना किया था, but still it's a red flag, right? क्योंकि one of their auditors is a banned entity by RBI. Yeah, so you can look at the credibility of all these institutions that a particular company is associated with. Okay, now let's look at CSR initiatives. Yes, I'm sure हम सबको पता है कि हर कंपनी को अपने प्रॉफिट का एक पोर्शन जो है CSR इनिशिएटिव पे खर्च करना होता है. एंड आई एम श्योर बहुत से लोग यही सोचते हैं कि CSR तो मतलब हर कंपनी को करना ही है, मैंडेटरी है, तो फिर व्हाट्स द पॉइंट ऑफ लुकिंग एट इट. बट अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग, आज के टाइम में जो बहुत सारे फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस होते हैं, दे इन्वेस्ट इन ESG कंप्लायंट कंपनीज, राइट? सो दे लुक एट व्हाट इज ESG, एनवायरनमेंट, social and corporate governance. So companies which are very strong in these three aspects: environmental aspects, social aspects and corporate governance aspect. तो बहुत सारे institutions जो invest करते हैं, right, they look at the kind of CSR initiatives a company is taking, because the CSR initiatives will define your ESG score, and a high ESG score will eventually help you in getting more investors, right? हर company आजकल जो है बहुत से agencies हैं जो ESG scores देती हैं, और उस ESG के स्कोर पे बहुत सारे इन्वेस्टर्स जो हैं इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. या सो जस्ट लास्ट वीक फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने एग्जांपल लिया था ITC का, राइट? ITC का मैक्सिमम रेवेन्यू टोबैको से आता है, सिगरेट से आता है. अगर आप ESG को नहीं देख रहे हैं और सिर्फ रेवेन्यू के बेसिस पे आप इन्वेस्ट करें तो शायद ITC एक अच्छा स्टॉक होगा. लेकिन बहुत सारे लोग या इंस्टीट्यूशंस होते हैं जो उसमें इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते हैं ITC में, बिकॉज दे बिलीव इट इज नॉट गुड, इट्स नॉट अ वेरी ESG कंप्लायंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, राइट? सो दैट इज हाउ इट वर्क्स. दैट CSR इनिशिएटिव्स का आप उस पर्सपेक्टिव से देखिए. अगर आप ऐसी कंपनीज को देख रहे हैं जो ESG में काफी स्ट्रांग हैं, जो काफी सोसाइटी के लिए कर रही हैं, जो सोशली स्ट्रांग है, जो एनवायरमेंटली स्ट्रांग है. I know of many investors, मेरे खुद के friends and family people who are looking at only ESG compliant companies. Yeah. So अगर हम Cyient की बात करें, right? If we talk specifically about Cyient as a company, इनका एक बहुत interesting CSR initiative which is called Empowering Tomorrow Together. Okay, and ये काफी सालों से चल रहा है. इनका spend काफी ज्यादा है. So what Cyient does under this initiative is they promote holistic community development. तो holistic community development रहता है through CSR platforms which extend support to say education, skill development, या फिर environmental development projects, social innovation projects. So ऐसे projects में they work. Okay, they have multiple schools as you can see. So इनके करीब till 21 they had about 28 schools, And these are number of children who've been educated through the CSR initiative of Sign. Now, for an investor जो एक social company को देख रहा है, जो ऐसी company को देख रहा है जो socially compliant है, they'll probably be very happy with looking at the CSR initiatives, right? And just last year उन्होंने करीब 3.7% of their profit, जो profit after tax PAT का 3.7% CSR initiatives पे खर्च किया था. So about $102 million was spent only on CSR by Sign Technologies. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is कि ये एक ऐसी चीज होती है जो बहुत सारे इन्वेस्टर्स देखना पसंद करते हैं. आप डिसाइड कर सकते हैं एज एन इन्वेस्टर कि आपको सीएसआर देखना है या नहीं देखना है. बट मुझे लगता है पर्सनली सीएसआर गोइंग फॉरवर्ड शायद ईएसडी कंप्लायंट कंपनीज काफी अच्छा, they'll attract more investors, so it's a good thing to look at. Okay, next let's look at the directors report. अब ये जो सेक्शन है डायरेक्टर्स रिपोर्ट और जो नेक्स्ट पार्ट हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं एमडीए which is management discussion and analysis, ये दो सेक्शन are the most important from an annual report point of view. They are like your bread and butter for a decision making process in your investments. Okay, इन दो रिपोर्ट्स में बहुत सारे छोटी छोटी चीजें आपको दिखने को मिलती हैं which can help you in identifying if the company is good or not good. Okay, so for example अगर हम directors report देखें, you could look out for say, okay, so you know what, let me just share the annual report for this, right? तो मैं आपको annual report में ही दिखाती हूँ कि आप ये कैसे देख सकते हैं. So if you just look at the directors report, just a minute, you can see the directors report here. तो अगर हम डायरेक्टर्स रिपोर्ट की बात करें, सो फर्स्ट लुक आउट फॉर से ऑपरेशनल पैरामीटर्स, राइट? जैसे क्या कैपेसिटी एडिशंस हो रहे हैं, तो कैपेक्स के क्या प्लान्स हैं फॉर द ईयर एंड फॉर द फ्यूचर. सो लेट मी जस्ट गो देयर, जस्ट अ मोमेंट. सो देयर इज अ सेक्शन यहाँ पे ही होगा. 1 minute guys. Yeah. Okay, so here itself you'll be able to see, if you just look at this particular section, you'll be able to see, अच्छा, अब आप में से ये लोग सोचेंगे consolidated और standalone में क्या difference होता है. तो standalone is only for that particular entity. Consolidated is सारे subsidiaries का मिला के numbers. तो एक company के बहुत सारे subsidiaries हो सकते हैं, तो subsidiaries का मिला के जो सबके सारे entities के जो numbers होते हैं उसको हम consolidated में मानते हैं. Standalone is basically सिर्फ उस company का numbers without taking into consideration the subsidiaries का revenue and other numbers. Okay, तो अगर हम बात करें, so for example you can look at the capital expenditure plan for a company in the directors report, right? कि उनका अभी का क्या plan है, future का क्या plan है, dividend details क्या है, right? कि एक company ने कितना dividend दिया है. So as you can see here, the dividend details are mentioned here. Then you can look at the share capital, right? So here for example इन्होंने signed ने जो 58,591 equity shares allot किए हैं, 5 rupees each to the associates of the company. Yes. Then what you could look at is the liquidity part. So as you can see, this says that the company had liquid assets of 11,543 million rupees and previous year में 5,837 liquid assets थे, right? और ये जो liquid assets हैं, they've invested in short term deposits, scheduled banks, which means लिक्विडिटी वाइज अभी ये कंपनी थोड़ा ठीक कर रही है. देन यू लुक एट अर्निंग्स पर शेयर, आपको ये जो अर्निंग्स पर शेयर दिख रहा है कि व्हेन वी लुक एट अर्निंग्स पर शेयर फॉर साइन, it's still 25.29 at standalone level and consolidated level at about 33 rupees. Yeah. So basically when you're looking at the directors report, you look at these aspects, right? क्योंकि ये आपको summary में बताते हैं these few important numbers which can help you. Then you should look at the personnel, right? So for example, look at the remuneration of the key management, right? Of the key personnel who are a part of the organization. फिर आप business responsibility report देख सकते हैं, which basically contains the financial details of the company. Yeah. So basically जब आप directors report देखते हैं, you look at all these aspects. So for example, just a minute, as you can see here, तो यहाँ लिक्विडिटी हो गया, हमने सब्सिडरीज देख लिया, अर्निंग्स पर शेयर देख लिया, डिविडेंड देख लिया, शेयर कैपिटल देख लिया. You can look at these few important aspects in the director's report. Now if we move on to MD&A, right? Let me just open the MD&A. But that's basically management discussion and analysis. तो जब हम MD&A की बात करते हैं, ये एक MD&A सबसे important part होता है annual report का, जो हम as an investor देखते हैं. The most important part of the annual report is the MD&A, okay? ये जो बहुत सारी reputed companies होती हैं, right? वो बहुत they take a lot of pain in revealing the true picture of the present as well as of the future through this particular section. So a lot of reputed companies use this section to tell people about their future plans, the what they intend to do, how they intend to grow the business, and that is what we're looking at, right? As an investor, I think what we want is we want to understand the future prospects. Of course, we are looking at the past as well, but for us, understanding the future is more important because we are investing for the future. And this is the section that is going to help us in understanding the future direction of the company. Okay. So I say you have global economic outlooks, just economically, globally, what the outlook is like, right? And then it tells you which are the different segments that the company wants to enter. So अगर हम साइंस की बात करें तो engineering and R&D, transportation, aerospace and defense, then they're looking at utilities, they're looking at rail, geospatial communication. So these are the kind of segments they're planning to enter in different geographies, in different markets. Yeah. And that is a positive indicator when you're looking at this aspect. Semiconductors, automotive, energy. So basically they are looking at entering so many different segments, which is great. Yes, then if you move down and move on, here आपको revenue growth दिख रहा है, right? From the last say 5-6 years. Now I always say this, that whenever you're comparing numbers, right? एक साल का number, just a 1 year number is not indicative of anything. You have to compare the numbers with the previous years. You have to look at a trend, right? And here, for example, what you see is a trend, the revenue trend from financial year 15 till financial year 21. Yes. So what you have to do is you have to look at the trend, and this revenue section is going to help you in understanding that. Okay. So you could look at the revenue growth, then you could look at revenue by geography. So if you look at this segment, right? So it's telling you in the Americas, in the EMEA or in APAC, what are the revenues geography wise that they have earned over the last say 3-4 years, right? So it's 4 saal ka data, it's a 4-year data. And as you can see, of course, in this particular year, which is financial year 21, the revenues went down slightly. But in the other geographies also, I mean, EMEA also it went down, but in APAC, it's been okay, right? It's gone up. So this is how you could look at. Then you could look at revenue based on say operating segments, right? So you look at different segments, the kind of revenue. So for example, in services and in design-led manufacturing, so scientists are functional in two different spaces, right? But bigger chunk of their revenue comes from services. They have almost 80% of their revenue which comes only from services, and the remaining comes from DLM, which is design-led manufacturing. But their focus on DLM is going up. And as you can see, in revenue, DLM revenue is higher, it has gone up in the past 2 years, where services revenue has slightly come down. Yeah. And then you have the other important numbers, say profit before tax here, there's operating profit, then there's PAT, which is profit after tax. This is an important number to look at. A lot of people look at PAT, look at profit after tax when they're looking at the numbers of a particular company. Okay. यहाँ पे again return to investors, हम dividend की दोबारा बात करें, जो $17 का dividend दिया था, that's again mentioned here, right? Which is the highest dividend that they have paid ever in the history. Yeah. So these are the different aspects that you could look at. Then there's other income section which you could look at. इनकी जो other income थी वो how has that done? So let me just go to that other income part. Just a moment. Other income basically helps you in understanding that income from other sources, has it gone up or has it gone down? Okay. And other income is an important indicator because other income could include so income other than the core business activities. That is what other income stands for. Okay. Now let's look at say corporate governance. So if I just go to corporate governance, just give me a minute. Yeah. So this is the report on corporate governance. Now isme you don't have to look at too much. You have to look at some basic things that you should be looking at. Signed as a company, for example, is very strong in terms of corporate governance. So this section is about ensuring that the actions of the promoters, the management is aligned to the interests of the shareholders, because you have to look at those companies जो shareholders के interest में काम करती हैं, right? And it is mandatory for a company to give the corporate governance report based on the discussions of the corporate governance committee. So this report highlights the standards and the philosophies of ethics which are followed by the company. and a high corporate governance standard. Just remember that अगर corporate governance standard high है, it is a reflection of better value creation for the shareholders. Okay, I think आज के time में हमने recent past में ऐसे बहुत सारे examples देखे हैं companies that have made great money, पैसा बनाया है, revenue बनाया है, profitability अच्छी है, लेकिन corporate governance के basis पे they have lost out and they have probably gone bust because of bad corporate governance. तो corporate governance एक बहुत important segment होता है, क्योंकि सिर्फ पैसा बनाना एक कंपनी का नहीं होता है. If they are generating enough value for the shareholders through strong corporate governance, then you can be well assured कि वो company is long lasting. वो strong company है, वो आगे जाके इतनी आसानी से नहीं डूबेगी. देखिए, पैसा, money you can still manage, but unethical standards, bad corporate governance is something which is very difficult to get rid of. Okay. So corporate governance definitely is something that you should look at while you're looking at an annual report, and you should look at the corporate governance standard a company ka kaisa hai. Is it high, is it low, are they focused on corporate governance, are they not, and so on. Okay. Next, we look at the shareholding. Now, I'm not going back to the presentation because in the annual report itself, I want to show you the shareholding. For example, shareholding tells you एक shareholding pattern of the business, right? कि एक company में कितने shareholders हैं, how much shares do they hold, what percentage of shareholding do they have. तो अगर हम SIAN की बात करें, as you can see here, FPIs जो foreign portfolio investors हैं, वो 38% share equity hold करते हैं, and the promoters hold about 23.48%. And then you have mutual funds, corporate bodies, resident individuals, and so on. You have different segments, yes? But as you can see, the biggest would be FPIs, promoters, then there's mutual funds, and then there's resident individuals. जो double digit में वो portfolio holding है, वो इन 4 categories की है. Okay, and इसमें you will also see name of the shareholders as you progress further, as you look down, right? इसमें जब भी आप एक company को देखते हैं, right, और उसका आप shareholding pattern देखते हैं, what you can look at is the pattern from the past. तो मान लीजिए अगर promoter का shareholding consistently कम हो रहा है over the years, and promoters के बहुत कम shareholding है, that may not be a very positive sign, right? Because it just means कि promoters खुद अपना जो shareholding है वो liquidate कर रहे हैं, they're liquidating their own shareholding. So it is important that you look at the promoters shareholding, you look at foreign portfolio investors कितने, which means how many bigger institutional investors are a part of this business. Because if bigger institutions are part of this business, then it provides more safety, more peace of mind to you as an investor. Okay, so shareholding definitely is something that you should look at while you're looking at the annual report of a company. Okay, that is a given. I truly believe, I always look at shareholding every time I'm looking at investing in a particular stock. Okay. Next, what we could look at is the key financial statements. Yeah, now जो हम financial statements की बात करते हैं, I'm sure all of you agree कि financial statements are obviously important. And whenever we are looking at the financial statements, we would look at कि एक company के financials कितने strong हैं. A company's financials help us in understanding how strong or the history of a company. Yes. So when we look at financial statements, 3 तरीके के financial statements होते हैं. So we have, let me just share my screen, 1 minute, guys. So we have 3 types of financial statements. एक तो होता है हमारा income and expense statement, एक होता है हमारा balance sheet, एक होता है cash flow statement. So for example, in the last master class, we discussed about income and expense statement, and we discussed about balance sheet. In this particular now segment, we are going to talk about the cash flow statement. Okay, cash flow statement अब क्या होता है? What exactly is the cash flow statement? तो जब भी हम financial statements की बात करते हैं, most people look at income and expense and they look at balance sheet. Okay, income and expense आपको profit and loss बताता है, balance sheet आपको assets और liabilities के बारे में बताते हैं. And जब हम ये financial statements देखते हैं, हम सारी financial transactions देखते हैं which may not be cash transactions. Okay, for example, credit sales, जहाँ पे कंपनी को एक फ्यूचर डेट में जो है पैसा आने वाला है, या डेप्रीसिएशन विच इज अ नॉन कैश एक्सपेंडिचर, ये सारे जो एक्सपेंडिचर या हम नंबर्स देखते हैं, हम प्रॉफिट देखते हैं, हम बहुत सी चीजें देखते हैं, लेकिन हम कैश बैलेंस नहीं देखते हैं. देखिए, आप एक बिजनेस चला रहे हैं, एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर आपको मान लीजिए अच्छा प्रॉफिट हो रहा है, लेकिन अगर बिजनेस चलाने के लिए कैश ही नहीं है तो आप कैसे बिजनेस चलाएंगे? इसीलिए कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेटमेंट होती है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट वो डॉक्यूमेंट होता है जो हमें दिखाता है कि एक कंपनी के पास कैश कितना है, राइट. सो व्हाट इज द कैश सिचुएशन ऑफ अ पर्टिकुलर कंपनी, उनके पास कितना कैश है, उन्होंने कितना इन्वेस्ट किया हुआ है, सो ऑन, राइट. तो कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में 3 सेक्शंस होते हैं, ठीक है. एक होता है कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज, व्हिच मींस जो कोर बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज होता है उससे कैश फ्लो कैसा है बिजनेस का. देन होता है कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम इन्वेस्टिंग एक्टिविटीज, सो व्हिच मींस फ्रॉम योर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, तो बिजनेस ने जो पैसा इन्वेस्ट किया है उससे जो है कैश फ्लो कितना है. एंड देन इज कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम फाइनेंसिंग एक्टिविटीज, तो जब फाइनेंसिंग एक्टिविटीज होते हैं, लोन्स एंड सो ऑन, बोरोइंग्स जो होती हैं, उससे कंपनी की कैश फ्लो सिचुएशन कैसी है. So we're going to discuss about each of them. We'll start with cash flow from operating activities. Okay. Like I said, cash flow from operating activities का मतलब होता है that cash flow that comes in the form of your core business activities. So आपका core business activities क्या होता है? मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो गया, सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग हो गया, टेक्नोलॉजिकल अपग्रेड्स हो गया, एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स हो गया. ये कोर बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज होती हैं विच हेल्प अस इन गेटिंग आवर रेवेन्यूज, गेटिंग आवर प्रॉफिट्स, right. Most of the expenditure are on physical assets. I'm sure if you agree, अगर physical assets हैं तो उसमें हमारा ज्यादा खर्चा होता है, and that could be looked at as an operational activity or basically a cash outflow. If you are making a physical asset, तो उसमें cash outflow हो रहा है, right. So जब increase of assets causes decrease of cash balance and vice versa, right. तो अगर आप कोई asset बेच रहे हैं तो cash inflow आता है, जब आप कोई asset बना रहे हैं then cash outflow होता है. तो you always look at cash inflow and cash outflow. That is how you look at the cash flow of a business, right? कि कितना cash आ रहा है, कितना cash जा रहा है. तो operating activity से what is the money coming in, what is the money going out. तो अगर हम cash flow की बात करें, is this visible? Okay. I will have to show you the annual report again. So sorry, just a minute. Yeah. So as you can see the annual report, cash flow from page 167, just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So this is your cash flow from operating activities, right? So you can see these multiple sections. Here's basically the cash generated from operations, which is about 724 crores. This 7241 million rupees, which is about 724 crores, which is generated from operations. And what is the net cash flow, right? These are net cash, which is positive 6485. Okay. So net cash flow from operating activities for Cyient, for example, is about 648 crores in this particular case. Okay. Now here are the liabilities, right? Current liabilities, which means the paisa jo jayega, trade payables ho gaye. And then you have, so you look at these segments, you look at all these segments to see ki cash inflow kahan se ho raha hai or cash outflow kahan se ho raha hai. And ideally, this should be a positive number, right? Basically, operating activities, you should be able to generate a positive cash inflow. Yes. So this is an important number. In this particular case, it's about 648 crores. Yeah. Now we look at cash flow from investing activities, which is here. So investing activities क्या हुआ कि आपने, for example, you have invested the money in a particular, say, fixed deposit. तो आपको वहां से interest आ रहा है. So that's a cash inflow. If you've made an investment, which means आपके account से पैसा गया है, so cash outflow is you've invested your money somewhere. Cash inflow is the interest or dividend that you are earning. Yes. So that's basically your cash flow from investing activities, where you are earning returns and you have invested your money somewhere. So there are multiple avenues. Say, in companies can invest in, say, interest-bearing investments. They can invest in equities, say, mutual funds. Then they can also invest in land and property, plant and equipment. Even that is considered to be an investment, or any other, say, tangible or intangible assets, right? So whenever we are looking at, say, cash flow from investing activities, say if you're building something new, right? Now, obviously, usse cash outflow ho raha hai, but that should eventually help you in generating more business. So when we're looking at Cyient, for example, towards property and other intangible assets, okay, there when you look at unka jo cash flow tha, that's about 45.7 crores. And they have extended loans to subsidiaries. So they have multiple subsidiaries and they have extended loans to subsidiaries to the tune of about 53 crores. So as you can see, if it's in bracket, it means it's negative, which means it's a cash outflow, which is about 53 crores is the loan to a subsidiary. So they've received an interest of 358 crores. The loans which are repaid by subsidiaries is about 30 crores. This is about 35 crores. So you look at it in that particular aspect, right? So when we say payment towards purchase of property plant, which means they have say probably created properties or they have made more plants, तो उससे उनका जो cash outflow हुआ है is about 45.7 crores. It is negative, right? So cash outflow you'll always see in bracket, which is negative. Cash inflow is always positive, which you will see without any bracket as numbers. Yeah. So investment in non-current investments, which means relatively long-term investments. So अगर invest किया तो पैसा आपके account से गया है, and that is why it is negative here. So if you just look at net cash used, that means they have higher investments. It is about 33 crores, which is 33 crores, which has been invested somewhere, which is why there's a cash outflow for the business in this particular case. Okay. Similarly, if we look at cash flow from financing activity, see financing kya hota hai? If you've taken a loan from a bank, that means there's a cash inflow happening, right? And that loan that you have taken would probably be used for future expansion, for business expansion. So it's not necessary that financing activity हमेशा negative होता है, right? Financing activity would help you in expanding your business, right? That's a source of the capital, your financing activity. So that is all the cash inflow and outflow happening because of financing. So if you've taken a loan, then that's a cash inflow. If you're paying an interest on the loan, that's a cash outflow for the business. Yeah. So for example, repayment of lease liabilities. Agar payment hua hai, so that means business ke liye it's a cash outflow. That is why you see negative 50 crores. Correct. Proceeds from sales and lease back. So aapko jo paisa mila hai from assets, that's about 5 odd crores, right? If you've paid an interest on the loans that you have taken, then that's a negative, and so on, right? The dividends paid and so on. Net cash used in financing activities is 43.6 crores. Okay, so that is the net cash that they have used. So if we just look at the net cash flow, right, for the particular business, which means from all the activities put together, from financing, from investing, from operational activity, everything put together, the net cash flow of Cyient is positive 1154.1 crores, as you can see here, right? 1154.1 crores is their net cash flow in hand, and it's positive, which means that's the money that they have in the business, which means as a business kafi liquidity hai, as a business they have enough funds to manage their business for say some time. जो previous year में से 583.6 crores था, तो basically the cash flow statement, if you see, it has almost doubled the amount of cash that it holds right now. Okay, this is a positive sign, because every time you're looking at cash flow, any business which is cash crunched will always have problem in managing the business in general. Okay, so which is why we look at it's good to have a positive net cash inflow at the end of all the three types of activities. Now, one thing that we need to remember is don't just read raw numbers, right? We have something called as notes. Trust me, when you look at the notes, you get a really interesting perspective about all the numbers, okay? If you read the note segment, you're likely to have done, I think, more than 100%, more than what 100% of the investors would seldom do. So, for example, a company का जो financial statement होता है, it has a lot of hidden aspects, right, in fine print and notes. And that note segment can really help you in understanding the multiple things. This is Cyient के अगर आप notes देखेंगे, it tells you about plant and equipment purchased. It tells you about leases, details of intangible assets, investments, loans and deposits. So all the details are mentioned there. So which is why I do think कि notes को देखना over and above the financial statements is also very super important. Okay. So the last thing is basically the ratio analysis. Yeah. So when we're talking about the ratio analysis, I'm sure a lot of you would be thinking, it's not visible. So ratio analysis is just a very simple thing that helps you understand the different ratios of the business. Okay. So ratio analysis की जब हम बात करते हैं, as you can see here. So for example, revenue from operations over total revenue, that's 92%, which means operations से आपको 92% revenue आ रहा है as a company, right? Other income से 8% आ रहा है. Obviously, अगर operations से नहीं तो other income is 8%. Then जो employee cost है per employee cost, I mean, so employee cost divided by total revenue is 48%, which means total revenue का 48% is going for employee cost. Yeah, administration expenses 20%. operating expenses 68%, right, and so on. तो ये जो ratio analysis होता है, ये एक अच्छा summary होता है to tell you about the business कि एक business कितना खर्चा कर रहा है in terms of percentages. Okay, so yes, so I think eventually what do we look at as the bottom line, right? एक successful investor के लिए what's an important criteria to basically develop the habit of reading everything about a company. देखिए जब आप शुरू करेंगे, right, आपको थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा, you will find it difficult, you will find it that it's too cumbersome, there's so much data, but trust me, अगर आप वो basic aspect समझ पाएंगे, it's not more than a 35 to 40-minute task. I mean, maximum 45 minutes you'll be able to screen through the annual report and identify those important parameters which are important for you as an investor to understand. Okay, so I do believe that, of course, look at an annual report, understand about how an annual report is working, and make sure you look at those important aspects जिसकी वजह से जो है you will be able to identify those important things which are going to help you in identifying the right stocks for you. Okay, so yeah, so with that I would like to end my session. I'm sure all of you have a lot of questions, so now I'm going to take the questions from all of you. Okay, so let's see, we have about 5 to 7 minutes. We'll try to take as many questions as possible. Okay, so we'll start with, okay, so what happens after 15 years if value goes to zero and everyone loses the money? Okay, so even though we say equity investments should be held for long term, right? I mean, especially in case of say stocks, your investment strategy should not be fill it, shut it, forget it. In terms of stocks, you have to be a little more proactive in terms of identifying the stock. So I think you need to review the performance of companies at regular intervals. That's for sure. If you think somewhere the company is out of track, then you could consider exiting from the company. If things are smooth, then continue to hold on. But if you think that after looking at the annual report, you feel that I am not very convinced about the company, I don't think they're on track in terms of what they promise and what they're delivering, then you could look at exiting the company. And of course, the data is available in the annual report, which will help you in taking that decision. Okay. Okay, someone's asking, where do we find the ESG score of a company? So, like we were talking about the ESG score, there are multiple rating agencies, right, which provide you the ESG score. So, say agencies like this Morgan Stanley, फिर Bloomberg का रहता है, S&P का रहता है, they all provide ESG scores globally. अगर हम इंडिया की बात करें तो if I'm not wrong, CRISIL provides the ESG score. तो recently CRISIL ने publish किया था ESG score of say about 225 companies. So you can always refer to them. सारी companies का नहीं, but at least decent chunk का ESG score is available through CRISIL. But in case of mutual funds, they also do their due diligence for ESG compliant companies. So mutual funds जो invest करते हैं companies में, they definitely are looking at ESG compliant companies, a lot of funds. Okay, next question. Can companies hold shares of other companies? Okay, is that the body's corporate line? Okay, so yes, so companies can invest in the shares of other companies, but a subsidiary company itself cannot invest in the shares of the parent or the holding company. Yeah, so you can invest in other companies as a company, but a subsidiary company cannot invest in the parent company or the holding company of the business. Okay, so in the financial statements, why two columns? So all the financial statements you'll get to see a disclosure number of the previous year as well. So like I always say, right, I've repeated this again, that you cannot just look at 1 year numbers. It's irrelevant. It doesn't tell you anything. So which is why you always have to compare this year's number with the previous year's numbers. Okay, and that is why at least 1 year number is always there in the financial statement. So it helps you in basically the year-on-year comparison, right? कि year-on-year company ने का कैसा growth हुआ है या फिर उन्होंने कैसा किया है. Okay. What if a company buys or sells its own share from from the share market? Is it investing activity or financing activity? Yes, a company can buy back its shares provided it's available articles of association. So it has to provide its article of association offering a buyback of shares from the open market. And obviously, such decision has to be ratified in the general body meeting. So, of course, a company can buy back, and that would be a part of investing activity. Okay, buying property is it investment, but selling is a financing activity. Okay. So even selling of property is treated as an investment activity, right? Because your property is an investment. So if you're buying the property, think of it as an investment activity. If you're selling the property, that's also an investment activity, and it is not a financing activity as you're mentioning. Financial activity basically deals with the capital structure of the company only, right? So, for example, equity or debt issuance is inflow. Dividends and repayment of loans is cash outflow, right? That's under financing activity. So when you're looking at properties and stuff, it's all investment activity. Okay, shouldn't the management's commentary be taken with a pinch of salt? Why would anyone short sell themselves? I mean, yeah, I agree with you, right? I mean, that's why I said that, I mean, an annual report is a marketing document at the end of the day, right? But obviously, they can't lie in a public document. They cannot write things which are not factual, right? So you will get to see a lot of facts in a particular annual report, right? They may glorify some of the things, no denying that, but you cannot glorify the numbers. You cannot glorify the facts. Yes, you can glorify things which are not factual in nature. So of course any communication is subjective, right? And you should read it with a pinch of salt, but it gives your perspective is what I believe. And facts cannot be hidden, and these are audited reports, so numbers will not lie, right? So all these things are going to help you in an annual report either ways. Okay, what are few of the red flags in a cash flow statement? Okay, when seen in conjunction with the balance sheet or with the income statement. Okay, uh, so some of the red flags could be, say, dwindling operating cash flow. So मतलब आपका जो operating cash flow थोड़ा हिल रहा है. Increase in cash inflow via financing activity. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा cash inflow हो रहा है from financing activity, which means as a business you're taking a lot of loan, right? Or you're using debt financing. These are some of the factors that you can consider. So ideally, financing activity is fine. It is providing you the source of capital, right? But then at the end of the day, if there's too much money coming in from financing activity into the business, it means there's also going to be a linked cash outflow from the business in the form of interest, right? And which is not a very great sign. So you don't want a very high debt for the business. And high financing activity means high debt, and that's something that you could avoid. Okay, so yeah, so I guess that's about it. I hope this session was useful. I hope all of you understood about the cash flow statements, about the annual report, and I do hope all the sessions going forward. Please do attend the sessions. Please do subscribe to the Grow Academy channel. We are going to come out with a lot of interesting content for all of you, for you to understand and take right decisions in terms of your investment. So, thank you so much, guys, and I wish you a great weekend ahead and all the best. Yeah, take care. Bye bye.